preparing for this blessed month of Ramadan. This is, like I said, the month of Quran, right? This is where we're more cognizant, we're more reflective. When we stay up throughout the night and open our hearts, more so than any other time of the year, to our Creator. And in that moment, we're also connecting, like we're connecting to ourselves and connecting to our Creator. So we're perfecting our salah more, where we have more Quran recitation, and we're actually, even inshallah, the goal could be, perfecting our recitation, reading more abundantly. We take advantage of the fact that shaitan is locked up, right? We take that advantage by focusing on bringing out our best self. There's no excuse. No, you're not going to say shaitan made me do it. We can take that advantage to bring out our best self. We have to recognize that we are always working on ourselves throughout the year. But in Ramadan is the best time to take that time for introspection and to put it into actions where we're getting all the reward, and really focus on some work that maybe throughout the year it kind of comes up, but we're like, okay, you know what? This can be the time we can really focus. It's a time for us to recognize some habits that do not benefit us and that do benefit us. And also habits that don't benefit maybe others that we have. Okay. And it's also to please our Lord, and to please, in that we become reflective in how can we follow the sunnah? What are some things that we already follow? What are some things we can add on? And with that reflection, now it's to create, and I've said this before, and I've said this in the years past, it's a time to create an action and put it into place on how to create this change. This is a great opportunity for that, and then to practice it, right? So we reflect, we then create an action plan. What is it that we want to do? How can we create this change? And then we get to practice it. And it's what can be a better time than right before Ramadan, so that by the time we get into the month, we're actually already in the groove of things. Okay, so with that said, it's really important to remember what I reflect on, right, may be different than what you are reflecting on. We're all reflecting on the oneness of Allah. We're doing salawat on the Prophet. We are reading Quran. We're doing all, and we're all like doing our salah. We're maybe up for our Tarawih prayers. We are all fasting, so we have that unity, but our personal focus may differ. And we have to remember that each individual and each family situation is different. All of us are kind of in a different place, different season of our lives, different scenarios. So what works for one of us may not necessarily work for the other, right? If I can read like one full juz a day, or maybe two, maybe the next person can read one page, right? Someone reads really fast so they can read more. Someone needs to read slower, but maybe they want to perfect their recitation, right? So we have to be very mindful of this, and also not just mindful for another person, but be mindful for ourselves, and to have that compassion for ourselves, to know where we're at and what we're working on. And one of the great things is to focus on that closeness to Allah, and that closeness to Allah is with our intention. And actually, the sister, I think Bilqis, you brought it up, it's really getting rid of that noise and decluttering the noise that we carry in our minds and our hearts, so that we can put that intentional focus on Allah without distraction. So that's why if you can start this now, let's say even today, by the time you get into Ramadan, you've probably decluttered some things that have been kind of sitting around, and that you've noticed that you're maybe in the middle of your dhikr, and all of a sudden you're thinking about like A, B, C that needs to get done, or somebody did this, or I need to do this. But you've already kind of dealt with that ahead of time, so you kind of have more free space now. Ramadan gives us the opportunity more so than any other time of the year, because we don't have to maybe be so mindful about like meals throughout the day and what we're doing throughout the day, because our focus has changed, right? It's a very intentional focus in the month. And so in this upcoming month, it's all about intentionality, to not focus on food, to maybe not focus on, oh, maybe I need to be running around with the kids' activities and like pile on the extracurricular, and maybe I need to slow down. And, maybe if oh, but it's Ramadan, I need to buy clothes, I need to buy gifts. Maybe I can do that before Ramadan starts, right? So that these focuses, as much as it is, and I understand the importance of the festivities. I mean, it's a great time, and especially in the past 2 years where we haven't had so much maybe community, that we want to do more things. We want to go to the masjid. But again, to keep that focus on like, okay, but here are my goals. This is something that I kind of have been struggling with. This is my time to focus on it. Like, can I still be intentional if I go to the masjid and have iftar? Or, so to really put that into focus of like, am I just running around, or am I being intentional in what I'm doing? If that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. And it also, just by thinking about these things right now, helps set the tone for the month. So like what the sister said in the beginning, it's not so much yikes, right? It may be yikes now because it's, oh my gosh, what do I need to do? Alhamdulillah, that's fine. That's wonderful that you know that's come up for you. But now slow it down, take a step back. Okay, well, I don't want it to be like that for the whole month, right? So what can I do right now? Why is this feeling coming up? Maybe, and like you actually, Sister Saleh, she mentioned that it was like, I have other stuff to get done. And so inshallah, we'll kind of go through that and hopefully work with one another. Like, how can we make the time when we have other obligations? So, so it's decluttering your heart, decluttering your mind, decluttering your homes, right? Like, I know I see some people laughing, like, let's just declutter all of this stuff, so that imagine just the ease of how our month would go if we didn't have to do so much because we had so much. And if you don't want to tackle your whole home, just when I say decluttering, it could be also about decluttering and creating a space of ibadah. So if you feel like I need to go to the masjid, it's obviously much better for some people to go to the masjid than for others. But let's say for some reason you can't go to the masjid, you have a space in your home that will encourage you to do your ibadah. It will encourage you to stay up. You won't maybe even feel the need to go back to sleep after suhoor. You'll want to stay up. You won't feel the need to go to sleep right after tarawih because you'll want to stay up. So declutter and create the space for worship and reflection, right? So I'm going to kind of go through a few, they're just some things that really came up for me. And as I was reading through other, inspirational things, I found that across the board, it was very similar on ways to make Ramadan more productive and just to prepare for it now, so that the month itself is productive. So I'm going to throw out some of these ideas, and then we'll be able to kind of break off into groups and discuss how we can create these plans now. So to make the intention to have a more productive and spiritual Ramadan experience, what are some things we can do? One, do a brain dump. Like I always say, like I love creating like a dumping journal where every morning you can just write down anything, that first thing that comes to your mind before you even get out of bed, right? And so just right now, before the month even comes, dump everything. What is it? It could just be like, what does the yikes mean? What is this strong feeling coming? Just write this ongoing list. It could be a bunch of random words. It could be thoughts. It could be like, well, I have exams. I have this, I have that. Just let everything out from your mind and heart. I need to finish the whole Quran. I need to do this many juz a day. I need to, I need to make those samosa, whatever it is. Just write everything down. Because what happens a lot of the times, and what causes a lot of people anxiety, is that we have a thought and we don't really like recognize it or like acknowledge it, I would say, and it just keeps coming back And you'll notice sometimes you'll be doing something random, or maybe even praying, and that thought will come back, because it's like, it's going to keep nagging at you because you haven't like acknowledged it. So this way you've just acknowledged everything, you let it out. Okay. So you kind of do this brain dump and list everything going on in your mind and heart. And you can continue this during Ramadan as well. Find a time and day to just like put everything down on paper. And hopefully, inshallah, it clears out the noise. And then another thing to do is take care of some long-standing commitments you may have. Like maybe I don't know, it could be like bills, it could be, I don't know, some schoolwork, it could be things that you just need to do. Take care of that now. See how you can, maybe if you need alarms for it, so that it's just not, again, nagging at you. It's like, hello, acknowledge me, acknowledge it now, right? Put it down in front of you, acknowledge it now. Put some Post-its, put some alarms, just so you know exactly when you will acknowledge it and when you will deal with it, so that it's not just continuously on your mind. List and plan all of the that needs to be done before Ramadan and shortly after Ramadan. So how this differs from before is that, you have midterms coming up, right in the middle of Ramadan. How can you kind of prepare yourself for that now, so that when it comes up, you're not like, oh my gosh, I'm stressing out, because you already knew. And your body will thank you for this later. I promise you that you're again acknowledging that, okay, I knew my exams were coming up on this day, and I knew I wanted to spend the night in the masjid, but you know what? This is how I will time everything and prepare. And so you're preparing ahead. Maybe, like right after Eid, I need to go visit family. I need to buy some airline tickets. Buy the tickets now, maybe it might even be cheaper, or set an alarm for certain times where you'll check, so you're not continuously checking for those airline tickets, or trying to book a vacation post Ramadan and trying to do or maybe there's a wedding coming up, afterwards, whatever it may be, or a conference. So plan these things now, know that they're coming up, and so it's off your plate. It's not always nagging at you, right? Try to do majority of these kind of like bigger tasks that, at least for me, when it comes to looking for airline tickets and booking things, I'll be there, Google Flights constantly, and I will scroll and time will pass by. Now imagine those 2 hours scrolling through could have been spent in ibadah in Ramadan, and I could have been getting reward, right? So again, take care of those kind of tasks ahead of time if you can, or schedule them. And other things are, okay, so I'm just going to go down a bunch of examples. And to be honest, these are a lot of things that I have to be very mindful of and not spend so much time doing in the actual month. Number one, gifts, right? As much as I want to make everything so special for my children and for my neighbors, especially, like if I want to give treats to my neighbors and do that dawah, do it ahead of time. How can I simplify it? I may like to bake, I like to bake. Do I want to be doing it the night before Ramadan or in that first week? Let me do it ahead of time, right? You'll have more energy. You'll have the flexibility. It's the best time to do it. Grocery shopping, meal prepping, all these things. How can I, and then in the middle of Ramadan, you'll hear like, man, I've been feeling kind of sluggish. I didn't have, I'm struggling with the caffeine. Start cutting back now, figure out, maybe start switching the time you have your caffeine now, right? Or the quantity. All of these things can be done ahead of time. Maybe you have like clothes. How can I make it easy? Let me get my abaya or thobes or whatever it means, shalwar means. Let me have it set and ready. So it's just like easy, come and go if I need to run to the masjid. Inshallah, all the masjids are open now. And again, if you know that anything coming up in the middle, you will have it pre-scheduled and you will figure out who you can contact for support. So again, I give example of exams or big meetings and things like that. Who can I reach out to be like, hey, I might need some extra help at this time. Can we help each other out? It could be sharing meals. It could be studying. It could be whatever it may be, or keeping each other like, hey, remind me, this is, between Asr and Maghrib, I want to make sure I get my, duas in, or, my dhikr in. can me and this friend or buddy, can we text each other and be like, hey, this is the time, like have that accountability partner. Okay, so this one, a lot of people, I know it's so funny, I hear this come up quite often, but like plan your house chores. Like, oh my gosh, I had so much laundry to do, I had dishes to do from the night before. Figure it out now. Like, put ease for yourself. How to make it easier for yourself. Practice letting go. So this one is a big one. Practice letting go right now, like today, the annoyances of the dunya around you, right? You may be carrying annoyances and grievances from people, the happenings that are going on around you. How can you, and this is not ignoring. This is different. It's not that you're ignoring, but you are putting it aside. You are letting go. You enter Ramadan when you first sight the moon with complete forgiveness in your heart. You know, the doors of Jannah open for you. So practice that now. So in that moment, it doesn't hurt. It's not as painful, or it's not as much of a struggle. Okay. And then of course, cutting down on social media. And I will say this could just be, and maybe it's not cutting it all out. I mean, we're online right now. and you know, if anything came out of COVID was, mashallah, beautiful, beautiful programming from so many organizations and the Muslim community around the world. And especially in Ramadan, it is jam-packed, right? And I remember the first year of COVID, I got overwhelmed. I didn't know which one I wanted to listen to, or like I would like register for everything and feel bad that I couldn't keep up with it all. So maybe right now, going to certain websites that you know, certain organizations where you know there's some Ramadan programming going on, and just again, just putting it in our calendar, putting it on your phone, being reasonable. You know, what are you going to benefit from? Which one's going to help you, encourage you more? Just put it in, and edit maybe your like what you're looking at, so that, you know, as Instagram goes through, you know, you're not like sidetracked with like, oh, I need to go here. Yeah, so it's pretty much, I know for some people, they're able to just totally log off of social media, and if you can't, just edit it for your own benefit. And going back to just adding small habits to your daily habits right now. This kind of goes back to our journal entry from earlier. Knowing what your habits are right now, knowing when they are and when they're happening, and now adding to that times of reflection, times of dhikr, maybe adding some deep breathing and intentional breathing before your salah, or before you do dhikr, or before you recite Quran. Like you're adding like something new to something you already are in practice of. Feel free, I know if this is going too fast, feel free to like slow me down, write some questions if you need any clarification or just want to share some ideas. This is actually going back to before, which I forgot to bring up. So as you're talking, as you're trying to reflect on what are some annoyances that I need to let go of? What are some things that, you know, maybe I just don't want to deal with? Maybe it's also being mindful of any backbiting or anything that you know, may come out for you. And again, this is being honest for yourself. You want the most reward of this month, and that is the kindness and forgiveness we give to other people around us. Okay. So keeping that in mind. And through all of this, I'm going to go back to the importance of support. Okay. Ramadan is not about being alone, right? Even if you feel like you're all alone in your space, in your home, it is about connecting. So in any of the, you know, some of the things that I just shared with you now, and whatever's coming up for you, who can I reach out to? Write that down. Who can I reach out to? Who's going to be my accountability partner? Who are the friends? Who are the families? Who are the scholars? Who are my teachers that I can message and say, help, I want to prepare. I need guidance. I need to know who can teach me and help me with my qiraat or my tajweed, and help my recitation, who can help me maybe perfect my prayer, who can help me, figure out even my zakat. Like, reach out to people. And maybe whoever you reach out to, they may not have the answer, but maybe inshallah, they may open the door to someone else. And this is also how we build community, right? Even if it's not physically right there in front of us, this is how we build community. We reach out to others. So with all this said and done, I want you guys to also think about so again, going back to our reflection earlier in our journal, and for anyone who joined later, we were talking about, we wrote for a little bit just what our daily routine is like right now, like our regular daily routine. Which of the sunnahs have you generally always fulfilled in Ramadan? Like, are you take some time before Ramadan comes in, reflect, what are some things I already make a very conscious effort to do in Ramadan, and I have been able to maintain in Ramadan? And then pick one or two more things and add it onto your routine. Right? We don't want to overburden ourselves. We want to make it something that will become a habit, something we can embrace. So maybe I give an example because I think, just saying that, reading one page of Quran is something I always do, let's say every day, or maybe I read one page of Quran after each salah, and then you're saying, well, this year I'm going to add 2 pages. As just an example. But you think of something you can do on a regular basis, you have it down, and just add 1 or 2 extra things. And again, you're reaching out to people, you're trying to get ideas, trying to build on that. So so here's a thing. So a lot of this is a lot of reflection, right? This is a lot of reflection upon us, like on what's in our heart and in our habits. So even while you're in the month of Ramadan, you can take it so that you're not feeling overwhelmed or stressed. The month is already divided in ashara, like the first part, the second part, the third part. So, each set of 10 days. So what you can do is maybe even put a little reminder, the first 10 days, after the first 10 days, that first ashara, you give yourself a few minutes of reflection. Hey, this is what I wrote in the beginning of Ramadan, or like, this is what I wrote in Shaban, what I wanted to do in Ramadan. How's it going for me? Ask yourself, how's it going? Do I feel good about what I'm doing? Is this resonating with me? Am I able to do it? If I'm not, what's the block? Do I have to change it a little bit? Do I need to reach out to someone? Right? So that way you have these little reflection points. And it's just accountability for yourself. Allah does not want to overwhelm us. That's not why we have what we have. It's about bringing ease. But we somehow add things on, or, maybe we just don't know, or we don't think about it that way. I mean, I need reminders that, okay, this is the first third, the second third, the last third. Like there's always opportunity. And, and that's why this is an important topic. And I think we really felt like talking about Ramadan prep, like before Ramadan begins, like really talking about Ramadan before it begins, because it brings a lot of strong emotions. It's a point of strong reflection for so many of us of just the year. And the reason I wrote intention was, you talk to Allah, right? Our du'as and everything, you talk to Allah and say, like, I want this forgiveness. I want this forgiveness in my heart to this person or this incident or whatever it may be, right? And when you almost, and we've talked about it before, when we bring it up in front of us and we acknowledge it, it helps us almost deal with it a little better. It's when we know that there's something there, but we are like, no, I don't want to think about it. I think we all need to recognize that sometimes that forgiveness may not be 100% at a particular time, but again, going in with the intention that I am working towards that forgiveness. That is powerful, and that actually chips away at it a bit. And some incidences, we just need to chip away at it until, subhanAllah, we recognize that it's happened. You know, this is something that's there, but it's getting further and further away. And we maybe possibly start recognizing what's the khair that came from that. Right? So yeah, compassion for yourself and the intention is huge. It's not easy, but we need to sometimes really confront those hard feelings. We really do. I say this, people keep saying, like, you know, like, just be happy, like, just move on. Like, you don't need that in your life. Yeah, we don't need it in our life. That's true. But it was there. It happened. I didn't feel good about it. And it hurt me. Acknowledge it. Acknowledge the emotions. Name the emotion, acknowledge the emotion. Simple. I say to my kids, we have, like, you know, yeah, you can feel angry. Allah gave us that right to have that emotion. You know, it's how we act upon it. And until we acknowledge it, we won't know how to act upon it. And we won't understand it. And we can't move past it. There's a WhatsApp group that we had created just to be like, hey, I'm fasting today. Let's make up our fast. It was like December, right? So they're easier time to make up fasts. And we just kept each other accountable, or share each other's iftar pictures, you know, of food. Like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I'll do that for tomorrow. So things like that, right? Getting ideas on like what to do for suhoor when we're in a rush or when we don't feel like eating. You know, you can do a water tracker if you want, you know, just put glasses of little water drops or something, whatever, glasses, to keep each other in check. Like, there's so many, like, just keep it simple, keep it fun. Okay, so we do have to end the session soon, but I quickly just wanted to add fruits, less fried foods, caffeine. And the great thing is, when you have accountability partners, or if you create a group or you join any kind of random group where you can talk to other Muslims, you'll get ideas like this, where people will share what they do to kind of like deal with that. Something like this is I just want to share this, and you guys can let me know later in some future session if it worked. My mom and my grandmother swear by, you have yogurt for suhoor, that it keeps you less thirsty. Maybe, I don't know. But I mean, I just have a habit now of having some yogurt in the morning. So there you go. Somebody can tell me if it worked for them or not this year. All right. So Jazakumullah khair, everyone, so much. I really enjoyed this talk because, you know, it gets me inspired. It gets me going. It gets me motivated. And inshallah, I pray that it helped you all as well, and that you will be able to share with others. And looking forward to seeing you guys post Ramadan, inshallah. Okay. So may Allah bring ease and bring clarity to all your hearts in this month that's coming up. And please, keep me in your du'as as well.